Welcome to the Valor Fire Training Podcast. We're glad you're here because this podcast is designed for you, the fire service community, to learn about tactics, training, and culture. In each episode, we'll sit down with influential firefighters to discuss hot topics and current events. Before we dive in, remember that you can find entertaining video versions of each episode along with more on our YouTube channel. Just search Valor Fire Training, subscribe, and hit the notification button to be alerted when new content is added. And now, here's your host, Dave Mellon. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dave Mellon with Valor Fire Training. We're here for a podcast for a very, very special reason. We are going to be talking with the guys of Project Joint Guardian. If you guys don't know who that is, they are a group of firefighters that are getting donations of equipment and taking it over to Ukraine. They're also going to be doing a rescue mission over there to try to help firefighters that, quite frankly, are probably losing their minds at this point. I can't even imagine. We were just talking off screen before we got on about what that would be like, and I can't imagine. So we have Derek Rolfo from Kansas and Greg Zimmerman from which Dakota do you live in?
It would be the South one.
I know we always joke about that. I'm like, North Dakota, South Dakota. And you're like, never tell me that I'm from North Dakota. But no, so Eric Hilley's going to be getting on here in a little bit if he can. I know he's busy at work, and he kind of spearheaded some of this stuff. So we're going to start with you guys. Why don't you fill us in a little bit? Greg, why don't you start and kind of tell us how this whole thing started, how you guys got connected, and kind of what your goal is?
Well, as far as how it got started, it really got started with Eric making a Facebook post. You know, I want to say it was just one evening. I was sitting there scrolling through, and up came one of his posts and we'd been friends, you know, for a couple of years by now. And it was something pretty simple of, hey, do guys want to get together in a group and go over there and see what we can do? And so I just messaged him, and you know, right away and said, hey, what do you need me to do? I can help out and we can get this started. And then he made a couple of news interviews, and it started jumping off pretty quick. We were getting so many emails that I was trying to organize them. And so I just started pulling people in that had any kind of logistics experience, any type of foreign experience. And when Derek's name popped up in some of the emails, I put it Derek and said, no, we got to bring him in pretty much right away. I'm drowned in here in emails. I need help. And so then Derek came in.
That's awesome. So, Derek, what's your background? I mean, why, you know, what kind of caused you to want to jump in? I mean, obviously, as firefighters, we always want to help, and this isn't necessarily a unique thing from a firefighter perspective, but I think a lot of people that have seen what you guys are doing are just kind of blown away by it.
Sure. So, my background is I was in the Marine Corps from 02 to 06. So I've got that in my back pocket. Once I got out of the Marine Corps, I kind of just dabbled in a little bit of this and that and kind of whatnot. I switched over and started doing contracting, actually. So I was a contractor overseas with Academy, which is the former Blackwater. I did that for about 3 years. I lived in Afghanistan doing jobs over there, and then became a wildland firefighter. So I did that in California for about 4 years on a helicopter, and then I moved out to Kansas, and I've been a firefighter out here for 4 years now. So when I saw this opportunity come up, it kind of reminded me back of my old glory days when I was contracting, and I've been missing it. So
this is going to be like a normal Tuesday for you.
The normal Tuesday.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's really awesome. You know, from when I saw what Eric posted, just like Greg and Derek did, you know, it seemed kind of a lofty goal, I guess. You know, to be able to get equipment and get funding to be able to take it over there and then provide them with training to be able to use that equipment specifically and then actually help in the mission, that just kind of blew my mind. And I'll be 100% honest, and I've told you guys this off camera as well. I tried to get time off and it got nixed. And so I'm kind of, you know, this was my way of doing it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can help you guys out. You know, we'll do a podcast. But I'm hoping that at some point in the next couple trips, I'll be able to jump in. So how many people total do you have that are going? And then how many people actually put in for it?
The number of people that put in for it. So I ended up, I would send out like a very basic questionnaire at the beginning to kind of ask people, okay, what do you have here, here, and here? And it was so hard to sift through all the information that, me being the engineer I am, I was like, no, we're gonna find a way to make a database of this. So I just built a Google form, and I said, no, everybody's got to, and I went back through the people that applied originally and said, nope, you're gonna have to re-enter all the information again. And so I ended up just building a huge spreadsheet of all this information, which is still not the best way to do it. I think I could get some more questions and everything so you could filter through a little better. But I think right now we've probably got, I'd say, about 250 people that are on the spreadsheet.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, you're not the only one that, when we started talking to people saying, hey, we're looking at building this first team, you've got a lot of really good qualifications. This is kind of the dates. They'd be like, there's no way I can get off that quickly, or there's no way I can cover all my shifts. Or, so yeah, you're not the first person to do that.
Yeah. And that was, so like, Derek, I mean, are you using vacation time? Are you using trade time? Is the department giving you time off? I mean, how's that working?
No, I'm using vacation time. I don't really use a lot of vacation, so luckily I had a lot saved up. Yeah, I've got trades on both ends just because the dates have been moving around a little bit, but I had some trades on the front and back end of this trip and seemed to work out pretty easy. My department let me off. They didn't have a problem with it, so.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So you guys have been in contact with firefighters over there. And obviously there's, we kind of talked about this, on the Facebook post as well. I don't want to say it's vague. But there is a level of risk. There is some security things that you have to be careful of. But I mean, what are the firefighters over there telling you guys as far as their needs? What do they need? Because I mean, you look at some of the photos and like their fire trucks seem,
Greg, I'll let you take this one.
Pretty, the fire trucks seem pretty stocked up. There's pictures that I've seen where they have modern fire trucks. And then there's other pictures in other cities where, they have these beat up fire trucks that have empty compartments. Now, I don't know if those compartments are empty because they just got bombed and they took everything off their truck, but it just seems like there's a vast difference. So what kind of things are you guys taking over there and what do they need?
As far as, remind me to come back to your actual question, but as far as the modern fire truck element of that, I'm not 100% sure that Ukraine actually has a good amount of modern trucks. The videos and pictures I've seen of the modern trucks are the ones that the European nations have been bringing over to give to them, but a lot of those, the intel we're being given is those are being left at the border right now. And so that's part of our mission, is to get some of those into the country, is the first thing. And like you're saying, that everything I've seen is 80s era trucks.
Right.
Or older even. I mean, it looked at, I don't know if you saw the Facebook post that we shared on the Joint Guardian page, but it was when the Russians retreated past, it was one of the airports outside of Kiev.
Was it the crash truck?
Yeah. And all the equipment was absolutely destroyed when they left. And so even the trucks that they did have now are completely 100% non-functional. One of the members that was born in Ukraine that's going on the trip with us, he had, when we kind of brought him into the fold, we asked him, hey, what can we expect here as far as, level of knowledge? What kind of tools are they using? He said, knowledge wise, it's, they got YouTube just like we do. They can see tactics. They know what tactics are, but he goes, equipment wise, they're probably 30 years behind us.
Yeah. Well, and it's really kind of interesting that you say that. So we're not just going to talk about this, there's some tactics things that, I kind of want to dive into for those listening. But when the Ukrainian conflict started, I actually went and searched Ukrainian firefighter on YouTube. And there's a lot of guys that have helmet cams, and you can watch how they're fighting fire. And it's to me, I'm watching this and I'm like, dude, like they still have the old quarter turn smoothbore nozzle that's like a half inch that, that's what they're using to fight these apartment fires. And they're dragging the hose up the ladder because they don't have any aerial waterways. So yeah, when I say modern, I mean modern in the Ukrainian world, I guess,
Right.
not necessarily like what we would consider a modern fire truck, but yeah, it's so what kind of equipment are you guys? I mean, are you guys taking everything and anything that you can get your hands on, or is there specific
So
things that they're
I'll jump in on this. Greg likes to be long-winded. I go off on tangent. So we have been extremely fortunate in this mission, and so many people donating. I mean, we've got Homatro. They've been donating things to us. We've got medical supplies, spreaders, cutters, rams. We've got ballistic plates, ballistic armor for us. We've got helmets. We got cases, pallets of food delivered to us to support us, because we need to be self-sustainable on when we're traveling. We can't rely on their infrastructure that's obviously damaged. So I think we probably have well over $300,000 worth of firefighting equipment, chainsaws, sawzalls, rotary saws. Anything you can imagine that would be on a rescue, plus more we've got. So it's nice.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I think, we take for granted, here in the US, if there's a natural disaster, or if God forbid there was ever to be a war, we have systems in place like the urban search and rescue teams through FEMA. We have stockpiles of equipment. We have things that they don't. And so,
Right.
When you're talking about cutters and spreaders, dude, like I go back to that video of the tank running over the car, and they're literally trying to extricate this dude with a a crowbar. That's totally normal for them because they didn't have any apparatus that could make it to the scene. So yeah, it's definitely something that is kind of out there for us. Now, how are you guys going to handle the language barrier? Are you guys going to have a translator? Do you have people in your group that speak whether it's Russian or Ukrainian? How's that going to work?
We actually got really lucky when that was one of the first questions we asked on, even in the email questionnaire before I built up the form. But correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, 3 of our guys are Ukrainian speakers and Russian, some Russian, but they're very fluent Ukrainian.
Right.
So that was one of the things that it kind of bumped you up pretty high on the list real quick, because like you say, if there's a language barrier, what are we going to be able to do, in an EMS scenario alone? how do you ask them what hurts and how it hurts, or,
Right. Yeah. Google Translate doesn't always work. So
right.
It's, well, and it's, my grandparents are from Latvia, which is just north of Ukraine, and they immigrated during the war. But my grandmother actually became friends with a woman who moved from Russia, and they could speak to each other and they understood a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think,
right.
There are some people that only speak Russian. There's some people that only speak Ukrainian, but you can kind of fill in the blanks, I guess, for some people. So yeah, that's good that you guys are going to be able to do that. So how are you guys getting all the equipment over there? Are you guys just going to have to freight it over and then pick it up and drive it? Or, this is just mind boggling to me.
This has been the hardest part about traveling over there. It is a back and forth constantly about trying to find shipping containers. We were talking about boats. We were talking about planes. Here's the thing. So this mission started off with Eric. Eric's idea was to get everything over there and to escort it into country. So that's kind of where this came into play. We don't want
typical Eric fashion.
Typical Eric fashion. So we don't want to deliver it to the border, drop it off, and bail out, right? Because you get to some of these, and no shade on Red Cross, but Red Cross, they get medical equipment. They know what to do with medical equipment. Everybody knows what to do with medical equipment. Nobody knows what to do with spreaders, cutters, rams, sawzalls, all this stuff. So it would sit on a pallet. We had got cribbing. It's just blocks of wood. People are like, cool, it's just blocks of wood, it's firewood, right? But it's not.
Right.
So Eric's idea was to actually escort it into the country. So we started looking at flying the gear with us. So we've got, I don't know if we can even talk about those donors or how that goes, but some of them are flying them over. They're like, that's what a great thing you're doing. We'll fly it for you. Holy crap, that had solved a ton of our problems. Donors have been so helpful with that, but we're going to fly everything. Some coming out of the West Coast, some coming out of Chicago.
Yeah. So
it's definitely been a learning experience, I think, for Derek and me, but everybody, in that we all signed up for this because we wanted to go over and do USAR, right? Well, to do that, we have to learn international logistics, and that's we didn't really expect to have to do this part. I mean, we knew it was going to have to be done, but it's a lot more work than you really think. We've had quite a few late nights and Zoom meetings and everything else, just trying to figure out how we're getting things done and updating each other, and chasing down leads to the amount that it's costing these donors to ship all this stuff over for us is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to take away from, any other conflicts that are going on right now. But again, I look at, come on, we're all sitting in the firehouse. We all turn on whatever your flavor is, if you like CNN or Fox or whatever. But we turn that on and, dude, I watch these videos and I'm just heartbroken. There's
sure.
Like today, there was some sort of hazardous material. There was a bombing, and there was hazardous materials, and they had to evacuate a town, or they told them to shelter in place. But the nuclear fire, like, bro, hey, what did you do on Tuesday? Oh, I went to a nuclear fire from a building that got bombed. Like, that's just, they're doing this, and they're kind of on their island all by themselves. And so the fact that you guys are, getting the equipment, taking it to them, is just amazing. So are you, and I'm going to ask you guys a personal question. Are you guys worried at all? Like, you're going to a war zone, so this isn't like a normal trip to Florida or, California. Is there a level of concern, or do you guys feel like, it's not any more dangerous than what we already do for our normal jobs?
Derek, you can start on that and I'll jump in when you're done. You're the one with combat experience, so.
Yeah. So, I think that I keep telling people this is, going overseas, my previous contracts, my first contract, a little worried. And then I kind of faded off and I really wasn't worried. You'd have, incoming artillery coming in, and it got so old time after time where you just like, all right, whatever. And you'd stay in your bed. If I'm going to die comfortable. Right. So you kind of just become callous to that kind of stuff. This one's a little different for me. This one I'm actually nervous for. I don't know why. This one, I just have a different feeling about it than my previous ones. Maybe because I'm not armed in this one, and the other ones I had a totally different mission. This one I'm rescuing people. We're saving lives in this mission, so it's cool. But I am a little worried. Not overwhelming though.
Yeah.
Myself, I have literally zero combat experience. So, the firefighting wise, well, like we were talking before this started, these firefighters are probably more capable than most of the U.S. ones at this point. They've been fighting fires in a war zone for the last month. So that, coupled with the guys that I'm going with, I think on a fire ground, I'm probably safer over there than I would be anywhere in the U.S. at this point, as far as experience wise, right?
Yeah.
I am by far the lowest qualified guy on this team. And so everybody that I'm going with, if I go in on a hose line with any of these guys, I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's the external factors that make us a little nervous on this one.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too. Listen, I'm a gun enthusiast. I'm a TAC medic. It's all fun and games to go to a shooting range, but when it's a two-way shooting range, that's a whole different story, man. Like and don't get me wrong, I don't want to get in a gun battle or anything, but it's like, Derek, my hat's off to you, man, because you're just like, yeah, whatever. We're good.
I'm back. I made it back.
Yeah. And again, it's when you look at those different factors, though, we talk about Katrina, and I remember talking to guys and gals that went down to Katrina, and they got shot at. They were getting shot at on a routine basis, and it was from, our own citizens. But they were just like, dude, that was totally different. Like, that was different than any other deployment I've ever been on. So, no, I know that you guys are going to take every, chance to be safe, and you guys aren't going to be doing crazy stuff unless you absolutely have to. But I have to ask that question. So when we talk about the equipment side of things, you guys also need funding, right? Like, you guys are going to have to pay for travel. You guys have to pay for food. The stuff that you have is only going to last for so long. So are you also looking for monetary donations, or are you planning on using some of that money to give to the Ukrainian firefighters as well?
Good.
We are, so some of the financial funding we've been given will be used to buy things like fuel and and food for the guys that are helping us ferry all this equipment into Ukraine, right? A lot of the money is used for travel. Like you don't realize how much it's going to cost to get a dozen people over to Ukraine and back, right? We got a food donation from one of the freeze dried survival food companies of an entire pallet of food for us.
That's awesome.
But like you say, that's only going to last us so long. So yeah, as far as what we're looking for, I mean, we're not going to turn down material donations that we can take over there and give to those guys, right? And financially wise, we're not going to say, hey, no thanks either. I think financially right now is what we're looking for more, just based on it's easier to do what we can or what we need to with that real quick, right?
Right.
And we've, like I said, this transport issue with it's not even an issue, but this transport thing we've had to deal with. It's a lot. I mean, I think at this point we have, I mean, for being brand new with this international shipping and stuff and whatnot, we're kind of tapped out on what we can take over there. We're really extending ourselves. We're coming down to the last couple of days, and adding more things to pallets is going to just really teeter things. So the financial donation is absolutely at this point in our mission the most probably most sought after thing. I think it's going to be the most helpful. $5 here, there, $100, whatever you can do is, I mean, it's huge for us to be able to.
Yeah.
We also want to, again, we don't want to disrupt what they're doing over there. So we're fortunate enough that they're using some of their trucks to drive us around and get things done. So we want to be able to pay them for their fuel.
Yeah.
Right? It's not okay to have them also pay for that. So some of these donations are going to help that also.
No, it's awesome, man. I was kind of chuckling while you were telling me that. I was thinking about War Dogs when they were making the delivery and they drive through Fallujah. And he's like, dude, where are we? He's like, we're in Fallujah. He's like, you drove us through Fallujah? Like, yeah, man, it's that's, if people are going to drive you, I mean, obviously they have to be compensated. So sure. I want to stop for a second and play a video clip. This was on the national media news circuit. Greg, you make a celebrity appearance in it, but it kind of goes over what you guys are doing. And you're not wearing the same shirt anymore, but earlier you were wearing the same shirt. So,
well, you embarrassed me, so I had to go change it.
All right, let's play this for everybody watching and listening, and then we'll come back.
They are staples of the profession. The turnout gear, helmets, boots, gloves, coats, the things firefighters need to allow them to do their jobs.
Protect life and property.
In the U.S., it's a given that when they respond to a call, they'll be properly outfitted with $5,000 to $6,000 worth of gear. But in a war zone where equipment and people are being lost to missiles and mortars, it's not a given. This donated gear, assembled in a firehouse in Boonesboro, Maryland, is bound for Ukraine.
There are victims from rocket attacks in rubble, and they need to do search and rescue operations. And so they need technical rescue equipment such as struts and ropes and carabiners.
It's part of a nationwide effort called Project Joint Guardian that collects gear for firefighters in Ukraine. This Montgomery County firehouse is one of the local collection points. The gear they're looking for may not be usable in the U.S. Doesn't mean it's not good gear, but it may have expired, and federal regulations say they can't put it on the street.
The expiration date in the United States for a lot of gear is 10 years, even if the gear isn't unusable.
That's not the case in other places, like Ukraine.
The amount of work they've had to do in the last month, I don't think the busiest station in the United States can really compare to what they've been doing.
South Dakota firefighter Greg Zimmerman is part of a group of 15 firefighters that will accompany the donated gear, helping their Ukrainian counterparts with equipment that may not be familiar to them.
It's going to be, hey, where do you need us? Where do you need the most help?
The people involved in these efforts stress it's about helping others in the brotherhood of firefighters, other selfless professionals under unfathomable circumstances. And it's also about helping the people that they help.
The passion to do the job is there. They want to do the job. They just need the tools and equipment to do it.
Hopefully, we're going to be leaving on the note of, well, you don't need our help anymore, so we're going to go home.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
So there's people donating stuff all across the country.
Yeah, let me jump in on that real quick. So Adam, he actually got a hold of me, and wanted to donate a bunch of gear that he was collecting. And so he's actually driving up to Clifton, New Jersey tomorrow or the day after to deliver it to, and I forget their last names, and this is my fault. It's Oleg and his lieutenant Mark on Clifton Fire Department, New Jersey. Derek, how many thousand pairs, sets of bunker gear did they donate? It's an ungodly amount. There's like 20 pallets that Oleg already shipped over for him.
Wow.
And including, and then after he told me how many pallets that was, then there was like another 8 pallets of SCBA equipment.
Dude,
and that was all
insane.
from one guy on Clifton. Well, 2 guys, Oleg and Mark on Clifton, New Jersey fire.
Yeah. That's amazing. Now, Derek, you've been taking, so it's kind of funny because Derek and I actually live like 10 minutes apart. But you've been kind of taking donations for like the Kansas area, right? I mean, have there been donations here as well?
Yeah. So I was, I did a little part-time gig with Lowe's. And as this thing progressed, I was like, you know what, let me just go talk to Lowe's. I walked in there and talked to the store manager named Sarah Pryor. She's fantastic. I kind of told her what we were doing, that we're a nonprofit. And she was like, oh, I haven't seen you forever. This is awesome. I can't believe you're doing this. And she goes, let's go pick out some tools. And we walked to the tool aisle and just started picking out tools. I mean, it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, I want that one. And I want that one. And she was like, cool. What else? And I go, well, these don't have batteries. She's like, let's go get you some batteries. We walked over to the battery section. She goes, how about 2 packs of 2? So we got 4 batteries. You also need a battery charger. Don't forget about that. I mean, she got us everything. It was awesome. So,
Dude, that is fantastic.
But yeah, and I'm going around to, I mean, I hate asking for stuff. So I've been going to different businesses and emailing and whatnot. And I've been exhausting my Rolodex of people I can call. So, but yeah, Kansas has been very helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about the Dakotas up north? What's been going on up there?
I've been working on logistics so much. I actually, so I started contacting like every survival food company, every, like energy bar company, et cetera. And there's one that we'll be announcing here pretty quick once I can get their picture from them. But a lot of them sent back a real form email of, hey, we're not even doing donations right now. Thanks anyways. And Nikki is her name. She emailed back and didn't even ask. She literally said, hey, so I got your email from our publicity department. She goes, talk to my director. We love what you're doing. What do you need? And so I took a screenshot of the email and went into our group chat and I said, hey guys, what do we need? And they said, as much as you can get. And that's pretty much what I told her. I said, we've got 15 guys and we don't even know how long we're going to be over there. And she goes, okay, well, we're going to get you an entire pallet and this is what's going to be on it. Awesome. And she packed it all up and shipped it like 2-day UPS, like a pallet of food. And she in the next email, she goes, oh, and by the way, one of our guys made a really good point. We made sure that they're the vegetarian meals, because she's like, sometimes meat products have a problem going over customs borders. And I was like, yeah, I didn't even consider that. So,
dude, that's
I'm going to learn to like vegan chili, but
Hey man, I'm on keto, and so I mean it's not the same as vegan, but we all have our dietary issues. But it's just so mind-boggling. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just when I sit there and listen to these stories, I'm like, how is that possible? Like, how did they ship that much bunker gear, or 2-day overnight, the pallets of stuff, and that is truly amazing. So we did get a question from one of the, looks like YouTube live. Again, said, what's the years on the gear for donation? So is there a limit on the date for the gear, or are you guys
absolutely
just
not?
Whatever?
Absolutely not. So if something is, I mean, if the fire department's over there looking at it and they're like, guys, we can't even use this. Okay, well, it was going to be thrown away here, right?
Right.
Bunker gear, it's great at keeping us cool in the middle of a fire, but it's also good at keeping people warm in the middle of a winter.
Right.
And it's still like 40 degrees over there. So if it can't be used for the firefighters, it can still be, I mean, an old bunker coat is going to be great for somebody trying to keep warm.
Are 3/4 boots a thing over there, you think?
They still are. So that's funny. I was looking at some pictures. They are. But with the 10-year thing, let's say you're 15 years out, as we've already heard, and we've been told from the guys on our team that have family over there, they're like 30 years behind.
Right.
So if we can give them 15-year-old bunker gear, they're that much more ahead. Like they're very welcoming the old gear. So.
Well, and it's, again, it's not the same thing. And when I tell these stories, I'm not trying to like one up Ukraine. That's not what this is about. But, when I went to Jamaica and I walked into a firehouse and it was kind of a smaller outlying station. And they had like 2 helmets and 3 coats and like 4 pairs of pants and boots. And I was looking at it and I'm like, so I don't see any gear on the truck. And the guy's like, no, that's our gear. And I'm like, but there's like 12 people here. And he's like, yeah, we share it. And I'm like, do what? He's like, yeah, that's we share it. Like somebody will wear the gear to go in to fight the fire. And then when they come out, then we'll just get undressed out of the gear and somebody else puts it on. And I'm like, what? And so when I got home, I was, I went to my department. I'm like, hey, can we get some of the stuff shipped over there? And they were just tickled pink. They were absolutely tickled pink. And theirs was also European style gear. So the American style stuff was a little bit different. One guy was like, man, this stuff's really heavy. How do you guys wear this? And, so it's a little different, but yeah, I think that they'll be happy to have that. So, again, there is no, date range for the gear, whatever you can donate. So where can people get a hold of you guys to donate?
So the easiest way is to message the Facebook page right now. This happened so quick that I bought a domain name, but nothing's set up on the webpage yet. We just wanted to get it so that, I could make sure and use it as a placeholder for now. I believe the email address is listed on the Facebook page. So either way of contacting, you're going to be able to get a hold of me. So
you can also get on Instagram, same thing. Project Joint Guardian. So either way.
Sure. And that's Project Joint Guardian.
Yep.
And then also you guys have Fund the First, which if correct me if I'm wrong, but that is for like military. It's a specific fund. It's not like GoFundMe.
Sure. Yep. First responders. A GoFundMe for first responders, more or less. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Without all the political stuff of GoFundMe.
Exactly.
Yeah. No joke. Okay, so I'm going to put the link down at the bottom. I'll let it run for a little bit so people can write it down if they want to. And for those of you that are listening to this on the podcast, I'm going to put it in the description for the podcast, so you'll have the links that you can click on to go and donate. So it sounds like you guys have a lot of stuff right now. Are you guys planning on stockpiling it here in the U.S., like in one central, and you don't have to say where, but like, are you guys going to stockpile and continue to build and send people? How long is this going to go for?
So this is Eric's baby, right? This is what he started as, and he helps. He's down in San Diego, and he helps the firefighters in Mexico, right? So he goes back and forth and crosses the borders and trains with those guys. And he hasn't had anything this big, and this is a huge stepping stone for him. It's actually grown his nonprofit, so he'll be able to. I think his mission, his idea, is to continue to do this for different conflicts around the world. So I think he does have a warehouse in San Diego, down in California, and things will just get sent there, stockpiled. We can pull it on a next conflict or whatever else is going. So that's kind of the idea of it. So yeah, we will be stockpiling things. Short answer.
And the idea is, we don't want to make somebody have to pay, to ship their, 10 cents a bunker gear if they can't afford to ship it. So if they're down by Derek or by me, then we'll say, hey, we can pick it up. And then at some point, maybe we can get another donation of shipping, and we'll get an entire pallet shipped to the warehouse in San Diego. Or maybe we'll make some regional stockpiles so that, for a regional disaster, something here is ready to go. Right.
Yeah, for sure. McGinn just sent back a message. I hope I'm saying that right. I feel bad. It's not, I'm guessing it's not phonetical, but anyway, he said, I'll talk with my chiefs. We have new gear that was never used. It's just out of date. So that's awesome.
That'd be absolutely awesome. And whichever way he contacts us, we'll get a hold of him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So as far as the kind of ongoing thing, and I know we had touched on this, we take training for granted right here. And now is not the time to be like, hey, let's take a couple days and do some training on Hamatro tools, or let's sit there and take a couple days and go over vehicle extrication. That's in the middle of a war zone. That's not the time. But McKinnon came back and said, I got the name right. Sweet. So how are you guys planning on doing that? Obviously there's tools that they're not familiar with as far as the operations of it, but there is a very real possibility that they have never used some of the tools that they're getting ever. So
Yeah.
is it just going to be real time, like on the job training?
So I think kind of what the idea was once we get over there, the first couple of days, it's going to be strictly training them. And we're not going to get technical. We're not going to be, talking about different things, but we're going to give them an idea of like, hey, this twisting it this way opens it, twisting it this way closes it. This is where you want to cut. And it's going to be just very basic.
A lot of on-the-job training.
Let's talk about like just extrication in general. It'll just be very basic extrication from vehicles, door popping, whatever. But after that, we can only be there for so long. 2-3 weeks, and they got to be on their own. So we got to teach them as much as we can in a couple days, so we can help them help themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
The idea is it'll definitely be like a user-paced training. Like if they're catching on, and I almost feel bad saying it that way. Like they probably have seen a lot of these extrication tools and everything. Like our demeanor isn't to go over there and be like, hey, we're these really smart American firefighters. We're going to show you guys how to use all this stuff. If they know how to use it, perfect. Let's go. But if they haven't seen some of more like the paratech equipment and stuff like that, we're going to say, hey, this is some really cool stuff you can do with this. Hey, you got the basics? Cool. Let's go do it.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of it is more the, thanks for making me feel dumb, Greg. I'm not trying to say that they don't know how to do some of this stuff, but yeah, I think a lot of it goes back to stuff that we take for granted, like we have time to put people through a short, 1 week, 14 week, whatever it is, academy, where they learn the maintenance procedures on the saws. They learn the maintenance stuff. So, it's a lot different when you just have to hand somebody a user manual and say, hope it's in there in Russian or Ukrainian. Good luck, and just kind of walk away. But no, it sounds like it's a good plan to be able to do the training the way that you guys want to do that. And then you guys are planning on riding out with them, right? You guys are actually going to go on these missions. You guys are going to go with them and be embedded with them. So how's that going to look? Are you guys planning on doing like well, you're shaking your head like I have no idea.
I have no clue. So Eric, again, this all goes back to Eric's idea, man. This is a first of its kind mission, right? Eric preaches that a lot. It is the first of its kind. We're going to be out there on the front lines with these guys. And we're going to work with them. What that entails right now, we don't know. They know we're coming. So I'm sure they're making any kind of preparations they need to allow us to ride with them. But yeah, we're going to be out there on the front lines with them, helping out. We'll do whatever we need to, whether it be search and rescue or recovery or, it doesn't matter. We'll be there to help with them. So
yeah, that's fantastic, man.
One of my favorite instructors that I've ever taken classes from and then taught with. So at the beginning of any class, you go over the basics and you go over the safety and hey, in case this happens type thing. And my favorite thing he always said, and he goes, and when we teach at smaller departments, he'd say, okay, and if there's a fire, he goes, I'm going with. He goes, because in all fairness, he goes, I just want to go to fires, man. And so that's what it is. If there's a call, we're firefighters. We want to go, right?
Yeah. No, and I think it's a great opportunity to be able to test out some of the stuff that you guys are taking. Like one of the discussions that I was having with another firefighter who was kind of asking me questions when he saw that we were going to be doing this podcast. He was asking, he's like, so like, are they going to be doing extrication on like armored vehicles? And I'm like, yeah, there's a total possibility that you may have to do extrication on a tank or an armored personnel carrier or, so
if anybody's popping a door in a tank, I'm doing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. It's like, how many times are you going to get the opportunity to pop a door on a tank or pop a door on an armored vehicle? It's just, all jokes aside, that is a very real possibility. And I know
I never considered that until right now.
Yeah. And so like for the U.S. military, and I say this kind of tongue in cheek, but like the U.S. military, the PJs, they actually fly with extrication tools and they can do extrication on all their armored vehicles and they have all their stuff to be able to do that.
So that's funny you brought that up though, because Homatro, awesome. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to plug companies or whatnot, but Homatro hooked us up and they gave us these special.
They gave us 3 of those.
3 special like real tiny hand pump spreaders.
Yeah.
And it's the same ones like the PJs use and they'll have like SWAT teams. And they gave us 3 of them and they're pretty sweet. You put them in backpack and you just and they're real light. So we'll get a chance to use some of that gear, which is a learning experience for us too. So we'll be learning just as much as those guys over there.
That's fantastic. And a lot of this stuff I've seen on Facebook, they've talked about like Fire Department Coffee. Fire Department Chronicles has also jumped on board.
Yep.
which is
Fire
awesome.
Fire department coffee came through just huge.
Yeah, love them. Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they're good.
when they heard of what we were doing, they didn't even wait to be asked. They just jumped in. They said, "Hey, what do you need us to do? We're gonna help."
Yeah, and they're good people, man. I got to hang out with them at FDIC last year and meet the actual the people of, I always say the people of Fire Department Coffee, but I mean they're a family. You know, it's a tight knit group, and so to hang out with them and get to meet them and get to know kind of what they're doing, it was awesome. So, no, I think it's great. So as far as the mission now, you guys are leaving in like 2 days,
something like that. Yeah, this weekend sometime.
Yep.
Okay. And then you guys are planning on being gone. And when you come back, then you're going to start planning for the next one. Is it kind of
we're hoping that if needed and if we have the time, we're hoping to be planning that while we're over there and have it ready to go by the time we get back.
And we've got some guys here that are staying in the rear to kind of take care of in-house stuff, back house, back office, whatever you want to call it. And they're actually taking care of a lot of planning for a next one. So I think Greg said it earlier, you know, we're going to be there, and hopefully when we leave is kind of all they need us. You know, we'll leave when they don't need us anymore. And hopefully that's 2-3 weeks. That'd be awesome, because that's less stress on everybody. But you know, there are talks of second rotations, third rotations. It's way too early to tell. We're focused on this first one.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, our worst fear is we don't want to leave and say, hey, we're leaving because we ran out of money. Like Derek just said, like we want to leave on the note of, well, hey, you guys are at a point where you don't need us. So,
yeah. Well, and I know we talked off camera and we're going to see how the logistics work out, but we're going to try and do another podcast live from Ukraine with you guys.
That is the hope.
Yeah, it's the hope. Now, I understand logistically that might not be possible. But that's the goal, is I want to be able to talk to you guys and hear what you guys are doing, and get some video clips from you guys that we can put up there so that people see what you're doing. Because again, this is something that I absolutely 100% believe in. You guys are doing amazing work. And if it's not, you know, the Ukraine conflict, there are conflicts all over this world. And so I love what Eric has done. I love what you guys are a part of. And knowing Eric, just what I know of him, this isn't going to be the only thing. You know, it's going to continue to be a thing. And if it's not this conflict, it's going to be the next one or the one after that. So it's definitely very cool. So we're coming up on about 45 minutes. I know we said we were going to kind of keep it around there. I do want to ask you guys individually one question. Derek, what is the one thing that you were looking forward to the most about this trip?
Get the hard-hitting question.
I know, right?
Gosh, you know what? I'm excited to give back. I'm excited to be able to. I mean, that's the whole reason for this mission for me, is to be able to help those that need to be helped, and to be able to train our brothers out there, not just in the United States, but overseas, that need our help, and something we can make a difference with. So,
I like it. Greg, what about you?
You know, I almost feel bad saying I'm looking forward to anything over there, right? Because it'd be better if we didn't have to go at all. You know, I don't know. It's going to be a new experience for me 100%. You know, I've never been in an operation overseas of any kind. So, I'm really looking forward to just getting over there. And I mean, hopefully passing down some of the very limited knowledge that I have, right? And then use it to help the team, and hopefully we can, you know, do as much good as possible while we're over there.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. Well, and here's the thing. Firefighters inherently are we're fixers. You know, we fix stuff.
Yep.
And so I don't get it. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to say this because I don't want it to sound like I'm tooting our own horns, but you know, we see somebody broke down on the side of the road, we inherently want to help them. We see somebody with, you know, the locked out of their car in the parking lot at the grocery store, we want to help them. So when this whole conflict started, I know a lot of people that were like, man, I really want to help. And everybody has helped in their own way. You guys are helping in a way that I think is just tremendous. And it's definitely not for everybody. But for those that are actually doing it, I'm proud of you guys, man. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I wish I could go with you. Hopefully the next one I can. But I think it's just amazing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So for those of you listening and watching, you can go to fundthefirst.com and look up Task Force Joint Guardian to be able to donate funds. And then equipment, they can get a hold of you on Facebook and what other social media platforms?
Instagram.
Yep.
Instagram. Okay. So look up Project Joint Guardian, Greg Zimmerman or Derek Rolfo or Eric Hilly. You can get a hold of him. Unfortunately, he's at work, so he wasn't able to jump on with us tonight. But guys, I want to thank you for your time. I wish you guys good luck, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you while you're in country.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it, Dave.
All right, guys, take care. Be safe. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Yeah. Have a good night.